Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Brittany Miles.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Brittany.
Hi there. How are you?
We're good. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, let's get this started. Tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is Brittany Miles. I have been a realtor for going in to my 6th year. It's a family business for me. I actually tried to attempt to get out of it and it sucked me back in. So I went to Central Michigan University and got a degree in family studies, and I minored in psychology. And I did social work for about a year and a half. And some things happened. I moved away and I ended up coming back. And like I said, I got sucked back into the real estate side of things. So kind of cool. My mom's a lender, and my aunt and my grandma were, my grandma's retired now. She was an agent for 30 some years. So I assisted her when I was younger. And then my aunt is an agent within my office at ERA here in Jackson. So.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is this what you wanted to be when you grew up? Like you said, your family kind of did it. What do you have planned?
So I actually aspired to be a marriage and family therapist, and I really wanted to be a therapist for, a long time. And then like I said, I kind of took the social work route before I started my master's, and I ended up kind of reverting back over to this. And so no, I did not want to be a realtor when I grew up. And my family kind of pushed for me to do other things too. And I ended up meeting my husband, and he was very supportive, and he's like, you'd be great at this. Why don't you just try it? Just dive into it. And I was working as a waitress at a restaurant in Chelsea, Michigan, as it was just a higher end, fun place to work, fast paced. But I really enjoyed it because I got to meet people, and it kind of triggered my career. Like, oh, I'd love for you to help me. And so that was nice. So that's kind of how I got my feet wet. Also, while still having my family as, good cushions to bounce ideas off of, learn the business. I can call and ask, quote unquote, dumb questions or things that I might. So I ended up really enjoying it. So I fell into the right place, I guess I should say.
Yeah. When you first started out, you started with your family on that team, right? So you've been with this team the whole time.
Yeah. So, okay. So my grandma actually worked for Remax Mid-Michigan. I think ended up being like 31 years. And then my aunt, who's Tracy Connors, she assisted my grandma. They did big business. I mean, they were selling millions of dollars of real estate. So I would come into the office when I was like 15, 16. I can remember going on showings, listing appointments, since I was little, and I would go into the office, and I knew all the older agents, like people who have been in it forever, like Steve Ordway, Chris Rankin. So it was kind of cool. So when I did go into the business, I ended up really knowing a lot of the agents and already having established that relationship. So I do think that had kind of helped my credibility as well. And now my grandma has since retired, and my aunt is here within my office too. So
nice. That's awesome. Yeah. It's nice to keep it within the family. So that's really cool that you guys are continuing that tradition.
Yeah. So we are our own agents. We do our own business, but we do bounce things off of each other. Like we just had a transaction. She had an investor. I had people who already had a home under contract, and they needed to get their home sold fast. And her investor said, well, I'll just pay cash. And it went smoothly. And it was, so just pays to have those relationships and make our clients' life easier as well. So
yeah, definitely. When you first started out in real estate, I know you grew up around it, so you kind of had maybe an idea of what to expect when you go into your first transaction. I don't know if you ever sat at a closing or anything before that, but how did that first one go for you? How did that first transaction go?
My grandma always said, I had gone to several closings with her. I was like her little shadow since I was about I think it was my first closing. So kind of funny. I knew Ron Ellison for a long time, who owns the title company here in Jackson, American Title. So it's just kind of funny because my first transaction, weirdly enough, I sold a tiny house.
Okay.
And it had multiple offers on it. And it was in Waterloo, and it was on a beautiful setting out on the mill pond out there. And I randomly got this guy that called me, and I had just started out on my own. And so the realtor called me and said, okay, you need to, give us your highest and best. And I thought, okay. So I called my client back, and he said, that is my highest and best. That's all I've got. And he was actually paying cash at this time, which is kind of crazy for your first deal to have a cash buyer.
Yeah.
Just right place, right time, I guess. So we ended up winning the bid with the cash offer, and we went out there, and he was just in love with this home, and it was so cool, and it went really smooth. I actually closed it at Liberty Title in Chelsea, so I didn't know anybody, but I just fake it till you make it, and went in there and studied my contract. So if any questions came up that I didn't, they would ask me about prorations or anything, I really just tried to prep myself as well as I could. So in my mind, it went smoothly, but who knows what everybody else thought.
Yeah. Is there any advice you got right at the beginning that kind of stuck with you along the way?
Like a realtor that had been in the business for a really long time just said, basically, don't do it for the money, do the right thing, and the money will follow. Mm-hmm. And I really believe in that, because I don't want to sell somebody a house that, for instance, just recently, actually, there was a house on a lake. They're cash buyers. They, really loved this house. They thought it was a good deal. They got it under list price, and they did the home inspection, and basically the inspector was like, there's like 3 feet of water under this house. If you were to lift the floor up under the bathroom, I mean, you could stick your hand into water. So,
wow.
Oh man.
And these are clients that are repeat customers of mine. So in my mind, like, I just didn't want to do them wrong, so I was thankful they did the home inspection, and I advised them, like, I don't know what a repair would look like on this. I don't think this is a good investment for you. The foundation is bad. Like, how good could that be? Right. So in my mind, I just kind of was like, in the long run, this will pay off. I'll sell homes to their kids. I wanted to make sure that that's the way that I do business, and just honesty is the best policy. So I'm not just trying to make a paycheck. I want to make sure that down the line, these people don't have trouble with the homes that they're buying. I mean, home ownership in itself is a task. I mean, there's always something. There's maintenance. There's hot water heaters go out. I mean, so those type of things, obviously I want to set them up for success, but there's only so much I can do. Whereas I know that if it's a problem that's going to persist or be immensely, costly in the long run, I like to do the right thing ahead of time, and the rest falls into place, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you for the next question here, what's the worst property you've been to? But that might be on your list right there, the water underneath.
Actually, it wasn't, believe it or not. So I would say, like, when I was a social worker, right, I went into all these underprivileged homes, and people were really struggling, and there was cockroaches, bed bugs, you name it, I saw it, right? So I kind of thought, well, I'm already dipped my toes into this. How bad could real estate be if I'm going into these condemned properties or for investors and yada, yada. So I went into this house, and we toured the main level of the home. It was beautiful. It was actually a foreclosed home, but I'm like, I cannot believe this hasn't sold. It's been on the market for, there was no disclosures, anything like that. So basically we get to the basement, and there is black mold lining this house the basement from top to bottom.
Oh, man.
I mean, up the doors, it was the OSB, it was crazy, as if the basement flooded and it just sat there. And I mean, you could just smell it as soon as you open the basement door. I'm like, okay, we got to get out of here. Don't buy this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and if it was there, I wonder where else it was that maybe you guys didn't even see.
Exactly. Like lipstick on a pig kind of thing. It looked great, but ultimately they put the money in the wrong places. They needed to have that taken care of.
Yeah. Did that one ever sell to one of your clients or anybody fixing it up? No.
I never followed up. I just told the realtor, I said, you need to disclose how bad this basement is. But with it being a foreclosure, I don't know how it ended up. So,
yeah.
So,
I know. Unfortunately, with maybe like investment side of things, you might see more of that.
yeah. So, and I've been into them where there is, cockroaches, there's dogs, animals that are aggressive. So
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to encounter. So
Yep, for sure.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
So.
What kind of goals do you got for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, so I actually just had a baby in February.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
So that has been kind of a learning curve, trying to balance my home life and still maintaining my business and keeping my clients happy as long as my husband and, balancing everything basically. So that's a goal of mine, is to find a good workflow that is even keel with home life, mom life, and so on. So that's kind of my goal. So I think so far I've maneuvered through it pretty well. My husband laughs. I was getting an epidural and I was on the phone for a closing that was happening at
wow.
Like, an hour later. And my anesthesiologist said, he goes, "You're working right now?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm okay, and I'll feel better after this." And he's like, "I can't even get my realtor to call me back." I said, "Honey, get my card. Just go ahead and give him my." So it's hard to turn it off when you need to, but if there's people that need something right away, I always try to be there. So trying to find balance there, I guess that would be my goal.
Now I have to ask you, did the anesthesiologist ever call you?
No, I guess I have to have another kid and go and track him down and say, "Hey, you never called me. Did you buy help?" No.
Pretend like you're working next time you see him too, even if you're
not.
Yeah,
exactly. So
I'm available. That's funny. If you could start over today with all the knowledge that you have, would you do anything differently?
I would say no, actually, because every transaction that I have, and that I've dealt with, is really a learning curve and something that you take into the next one that, and it's something different every single time. So no transaction's the same, and you learn something throughout it, no matter what, whether it's, whether you get to know another realtor through it, or you figure something out that an inspector tells you that you've never knew, just different, like requirements that you never knew were a thing. Like I had a FHA appraisal come back, and it was a outbuilding, like a little shed in the backyard, and it had a beehive in it. I didn't look for the beehive in the shed. I would have never known it's there, but it came back flagged on an appraisal as a repair. And I thought, well, now I'm going to look for beehives and birds' nests whenever, I go into a new house I wouldn't change anything. I think every experience is a good one, whether it's good or bad, you're going to learn from it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I know we mentioned before we started recording, maybe not so much of a book that you could recommend to anybody, but you listen to podcasts. Tell us a little bit about what.
I don't have one specifically. It's just I kind of flick on my my podcast on Spotify and just kind of see what comes up. So I don't really have anybody specific. As far as a book goes, the 0 to 1. It's more of like a startup for. Like software kind of thing, like technology, which I'm horrible at. Okay. Like getting on a Zoom meeting. Well, no, I'm just kidding. But, so basically that I took that as it's like improving upon products that are already in use, I guess. So I kind of thought that with homes, like how can I market this, more efficiently, how to get it in front of as many people as I can. What does this home need for people to want it, basically. So I it wasn't exactly geared toward real estate per se, but I read it, understood it, and kind of applied it into my everyday business. So that would be
I
like it.
How can people get a hold of you?
I obviously my cell phone is out there on my Facebook page. You can Facebook message me. Most effectively would be call or text. I do have a real estate website, brittanymiles.com. My Facebook page is connected to my personal page as well. So I feel like I'm pretty easily accessible. So I have lots of Google reviews. So just Google me.
Sweet. I like it. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's
Red.
blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah. I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars,
review.
guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.